Joaquin, though, taking it in stride.
Now that's what happened Friday? No. If I went through Friday, believe me, I could go through today.
As you've been hearing from our meteorologists, they expect today's rains to be less intense than a week ago and to last for shorter periods of time. On the other hand, the ground is saturated, impeding drainage. Roger Stern, 1010 Winds, at 92.3 FM in Gowanus, Brooklyn.
Winds News Time, 12:04. We are at war. The proclamation from Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu in a televised address today. Israel confirms Hamas militants have taken Israeli civilians and soldiers hostage. Israeli military officials are calling the rocket attacks and the incursion into Israel an unprecedented attack. Again, Hamas firing thousands of rockets into Israel and sending dozens of fighters across the border.
Sirens wailing, with Israeli cities now on high alert. Huge, thick clouds of black smoke in the sky, residents taking cover wherever they can. And on the ground, images on social media showing dozens of heavily armed Palestinians on motorbikes and in pickup trucks infiltrating Israeli settlements near the border, shooting at passers-by, killing at least 6 Israelis, injuring dozens more.
That's correspondent Martha Raddatz. The latest numbers, at least 40 Israelis killed, almost 1,000 wounded, the deadliest attack in Israel in years. Palestinian officials say almost 200 Palestinians have been killed. Correspondent Jordana Miller with more from Jerusalem.
It was an absolute shock. There's no other way to describe it. This is an absolute failure by the Israeli intelligence. And when the head of the Israeli army, the spokesperson, was asked about this in the briefing, he didn't want to answer it. After several times, even he had to admit there will be a quote-unquote investigation.
There have been numerous statements of support from governments around the world, including a statement from President Biden, who says the U.S. unequivocally condemns this appalling assault against Israel by Hamas terrorists from Gaza. The United States warns against any other party hostile to Israel seeking advantage in this situation. My administration's support for Israel's security is rock solid and unwavering. Mayor Adams, on his trip to Latin America, issued a statement and saying today's attack, coming at the end of what is supposed to be a celebratory time at the end of the Jewish high holidays, is nothing more than a cowardly action by a terrorist organization. And he adds that the city has been in touch with Jewish leaders across the 5 boroughs and have directed the NYPD to deploy additional resources to Jewish communities and houses of worship citywide to ensure that, in the words of the mayor, our communities have the resources they need to make sure everyone feels safe. The rocket attacks and invasion come on Simchat Torah, one of the most joyous days on the Jewish calendar, and has revived memories of the 1973 Yom Kippur War, a surprise attack on the holiest day of the Jewish calendar almost 50 years ago to the day. Winds News Time, 12:07. On Long Island, an emotional night at Farmingdale High School. The marching band performed for the first time since last month's deadly charter bus crash in Orange County.
It's truly inspirational, and they did a great job.
I think we all have heavy hearts today.
It takes a lot of courage to get back up and move forward, and that's exactly what they did.
The crash killed beloved band director Gina Pelletieri and a chaperone, Beatrice Ferrari. The last of the dozens of marching band students injured in the crash 2 weeks ago has been released from the hospital. The mayor's trip to Latin America continues. Today he's visiting Colombia. He spent Friday in Ecuador as part of his trip to see the migrant crisis from the other side of the border.
They went over their plan and how this is impacting here in this country.
One of the main designs of the trip is to give migrants a realistic picture of the migrant situation in New York. For many, Monday is Columbus Day. For many others, it is Indigenous Peoples Day. And the notion that attention must be paid to Indigenous peoples on Columbus Day has gained increasing momentum through the years. There is a 3-day event on Randall's Island designed to celebrate the culture and survival of Indigenous peoples. Cliff Matthias is director of Indigenous Peoples Day.
Every time an Indigenous person has an opportunity to dance, to sing, to know their traditions, to know their culture, that's an amazing feat considering the attempted genocide of us as a people.
The event includes Indigenous tribal leaders, Indigenous UFC fighters, and this year, Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas. WINS News Time, 12:09.